What up, guys? Young Romine here, Austin Trainings. There's a lot of talk about semi-autos, and if you look at the news for any length of time, you're going to hear it. They're going to give this inflection. He had a semi-auto. They put all this inflection. It's like, what are you trying to do? You trying to lie to the people or confuse them as to what a semi-auto and a fully auto is? So I'll explain it. Have no fear. This is a semi-automatic handgun. The company is Glock. The model is 19. I'm going to explain how this gun works, the safety mechanisms, and how the semi-auto action is performed. So, this is a striker fire gun. There's no external hammer like you see in the Wild West movies where they're pow, 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 pow. There's none of that. It's all internal, so it's a striker fire. Once you've seen one of these, you've kind of seen them all, especially with Glock. People say Glock is like the Apple of the gun world. You got small, medium, and large. Nevertheless, it's all the same. So I'm going to give you the nomenclature of everything here. First, you have the frame. Okay, this is all the frame. This is the trigger guard. What it does is it guards stuff from hitting the trigger. This, see how this is sliding back and forth? It's called the slide. I know, right? This is the slide stop. You see, I can push it up a little bit. When the slide reciprocates, you can push up the slide stop, and on this Glock, it's ambidextrous. Push up the slide stop, stops the slide. You have your front sight. You have your rear sight. You have your magazine release button. Push that in right here. This is called the magazine. It's not a clip. It's a magazine. When you press the magazine release button, it ejects the magazine. Okay? Now, to demonstrate how if you've seen one, you've seen them all. Didn't know I had that, did you? This one's loaded. This is my carry gun. It's a SIG P365. Different company. SIG Sauer. Same thing, doesn't matter, it's black. It's black and scary. You got the frame. You have the trigger guard. You have the trigger right here. You have the slide. The slide reciprocates back and forth. On this gun, the slide stop isn't ambidextrous like the Glock. It's right here. It's only on one side. You have your front sight. You have your rear sight. You have your magazine release. And once again, press the magazine release, you have your magazine. It's all the same. Doesn't matter who makes it. Doesn't matter what color it is. It's all the same. That's a striker fire. Let's talk about the internal safeties, because a lot of these guns you'll see they don't have an external safety. People get real caught up on this. They're like, oh, it doesn't have a manual thumb safety. I feel like it's not safe because it doesn't have a manual thumb safety. I get it. I get where people are coming from, but these guns are safe, and I'll explain how. With Glock, you have 3 internal safeties. The first one is a trigger safety. You see, double check because I'm gonna press the trigger. You see this little tongue thing right here in the middle of the trigger? That's the trigger safety. If I depress the side of this trigger, the trigger does not move because I have not depressed the trigger safety. Only when I depress that trigger safety will the trigger fully engage. Now, per YouTube's guidelines, you can no longer take apart a gun on a video. You can only show the after effect. So I'm going to turn around and take it apart real quick. All right. So this is the slide. This is the frame. Frame, super light. It's made of polymer, not plastic. It's made of polymer, super light, weighs, almost nothing. The slide is where you get all the weight. Now, there's 2 internal safeties because we got one. Now we got 2 more. This trigger is attached to this right here. It's called a trigger bar. When I depress this trigger and defeat the trigger safety, this trigger bar is going to push upward. It's going to push upward into this block of steel right here. This is called the firing pin block. Okay, it's basically a block of steel that is blocking the firing pin from hitting the bullet, hence the name firing pin block. Now, right here, you see a crossbar. This crossbar it looks like a cross, and that's what's holding the firing pin back. The firing pin block and the crossbar back here are the additional two safeties. So I have to press the trigger, defeat the trigger safety. The trigger bar pushes into the firing pin block, moves out of the way for the firing pin to then get released by the crossbar. Firing pin hits the bullet and knocks the primer. Boom, you get a shot, and then it resets each time. So you have to press the trigger and defeat those three internal safeties each time. Put it back together. If you load this gun up and you throw it off a building, it's not going to defeat those three safeties. If anything, it would just break. If you bought the gun yourself and spent, good money for the gun, you'll probably cry, but all that's going to get hurt is your feelings. So I'll actually demonstrate that here. Live round, there's nobody down range, but I'm going to load this gun and throw it on the ground just to send my point home. See the bullets in there? Live, ready to go. Nothing happens. It's a lot of money I'm throwing on the ground, but nothing happens. Nobody dies, nobody gets hurt, because those three safeties, those internal safeties, have to be defeated. Now, we've talked about nomenclature, we've talked about the internal safeties. Even if your gun doesn't have a trigger safety, it will still have internal safeties that keep your gun from firing, so it's safe. My Sig Sauer doesn't have a trigger safety, but it also has internal safeties, which is why I feel comfortable pointing it towards the family jewels. Nothing has ever happened. I've dropped this gun, and I started carrying this gun like early on when I was still learning about guns, and I didn't fully understand. I was in the process of learning. I dropped this gun on concrete. I kid you not, when I dropped the gun, I said, "Oh!" You were scared, I wasn't scared. I thought it was gonna go off, I'm not gonna lie, but it didn't, because it has those internal safeties. So now that I've explained that to you, we're gonna talk about, or I'm gonna show you rather, how the semi-automatic works as I'm firing live rounds. All right, real quick, so I was about to pack it up, but I could hear everybody already. I could hear the typing and the comments. "Oh, you didn't throw your SIG. You threw the Glock, but you didn't throw your SIG." So, bullets. It's loaded. Okay, one in the chamber. I'm gonna throw the SIG. Nothing, man. All right, so I'm about to shoot the semi-auto Glock, the semi-auto handgun. All handguns, like I said, are semi-auto. So, gun is clear. Checks are always free. It never hurts to check your gun, check it, and keep checking it. Now, it's not gonna take a lot to show y'all that this is semi-auto, so I'm not gonna fill up the magazine with these mosquitoes flying around me with a whole bunch of rounds. I'm just gonna load 3 rounds. Now, if this gun was fully automatic and I press the trigger, it would go. Okay, as long as I'm holding the trigger down, that's fully automatic. It's just gonna burn everything in this magazine. We're gonna see if it does that or not. Eyes and ears. Now I'm gonna press the trigger 1 time. I'm gonna hold my finger on the trigger. If this was a fully automatic, like I said, it's gonna burn through everything. So let's see how many shots we get. Finger's still on the trigger. Nothing's happening. Where's the carnage and the destruction? There is none. Because it's a semi-automatic, just like a revolver. Your granddaddy's revolver, he has to press the trigger each time to fire one round. Now, this isn't fed with the cylinder mechanism. It's with the magazine, but it's the same thing. You have to keep pressing the trigger. See, my finger's still on the trigger. The gun still isn't firing. I have to let my finger off the trigger. Now I'm going to press the trigger again. Finger is still on the trigger. So semi-auto means that the semi part is I have to press the trigger once each time. The auto part is it's automatically loading the next bullet. When this slide reciprocates, when the gun goes bang, it's automatically loading the next bullet into the chamber for me. Now I'll get rid of the last round here. Gun is empty, slide locks open, lets me know I need to reload with another magazine. But that's a semi-auto. That's how it works. Handguns, shotguns, long guns, AR-15s, it's all the same thing. That's the semi-auto. That's how it's been for I don't know how long. Military gets the fully automatics. Cartels and gang members get the fully automatics, but law-abiding citizens get the semi-automatics. You can't go into a gun store and buy a fully automatic anywhere. And there is no, oh man, just cut me a deal. You know, we got a few deals in the back for the people who like to live on the edge. They don't sell them. You can't buy them. Okay, so next time you see something on the news or somebody's talking about a firearm, and they're like, oh yeah, people with these semi-auto weapons, now you're more educated and you know you actually need to educate them because they're probably talking about it like it's a fully auto. Hope you liked that video. Share, subscribe, share this to everybody you know. This is a big misconception out there, and we'll see you on the next one. Austin Trainings, Romine out, baby.